Well, I know the roads are not bad, are they?
Yeah, some back roads in Fort Greene.
Are they? Maybe up on the mountain top. When I came in this morning, there was about 4 miles on the 4 lane. It was just wide, solid wide. They continued to slick though. When we could decided to pass it around. Karen, I recorded. That's why I couldn't find it. Adam goes, could anybody else take a test home? Did you get a look at those, Kayla, that you missed?
Yeah.
Should have got them, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, nobody else took a test home, I don't suppose, okay. All right, there was 100 on that test, I guess. Let's say, Bangor, you made 100 on that third test, didn't you? Not bad. Georgia made 95, so on. So the third test wasn't bad. Okay, we got a fourth test coming up. And, is there anybody in here that hasn't missed a day this semester? 3, Georgia, what did you miss, 1 or 2?
For tournaments, probably.
Yeah, yours was for tennis, and those are excused. Those, I don't count sports against you. So I didn't count sports against you, you'd have perfect attendance, but Kevin, you're gonna miss what, 1 or 2 days?
The days I haven't been in person live streaming.
Okay, did you text me that you were live streaming that day? Okay. Yeah, that missed any if you texted that you were live streaming. How about you?
I didn't know I had to text you, but I submitted my weekly summaries, all my summaries.
But were you watching live or were you?
Not always, I was working sometimes.
Right, you were working, okay. I know live streaming, some instructors don't like it. Of course, I prefer students in the classroom with blackboard and chalk. But I've had to adapt over the years and change and roll with the flow, whatever you want to call it. Keep up with technology and so on. But technology is here to stay. Now, you can take a full-blown web class on Blackboard or Moodle. I've taught accounting on Blackboard, and I start out with 30 students and be lucky for 10 of them to do well enough to pass and to continue. Because they don't have that discipline. Now, this is a different time class. It's hybrid. You can come or you can whatever. Some instructors have probably seen a student walking down the hall. What that student's supposed to be in this class. Now, I've got Mason. He has to go to Dr. Sneed's class. He couldn't have taken this class if we didn't live stream it because he has another class at the same time. So it helps correct class conflicts. Well, like you, if you're working, you can watch the video later. It helps if you work, okay? And a distance. If I have a student at Beckley, it helps them not to have to drive an hour and a half or whatever it takes to get here. So that's the purpose of it. But students abuse anything, you know that. They just want to sleep in. They may live 5 minutes away and they don't want to get ready to come to class. So I've always fussed about conditions. Don't let a student live stream unless they prove they're working, or unless they prove they've got another class at the same time, or unless they prove that they live at least beyond 25 miles. Okay? I don't know if we ever get those conditions or not. That's what I preach. Okay? My accounting principal students, out of about 18, 10 of them showed up this morning. Out of those 10, 8 of them have perfect attendance, and 2 of them have only missed 1 day. And out of those 18, those 10 who show up every day have the best grades. So you might want to put a lot of that. Tanner, did you take your test home with you? Okay. I know you did, and I know that Ed did. Did you rework some of them?
I left I did the work on several sheets of paper.
Yeah, okay. All right, we missed Thursday before Thanksgiving. Therefore, I haven't seen you all for 2 weeks, and you all can say the same thing. You haven't seen one another or me in 2 weeks. So I just got up a real quick meeting. We've got 3 people we're interviewing for dean. You all are welcome to go to those meetings too. Ms. Belcher gave a teaching demo yesterday, answered questions. Mr. Immel's doing that this morning from 10:30 to 11:30. So I got in on a half an hour of it. And we'll have another person here tomorrow. I don't even know where this other person's from. They're not in-house. So out of those 3, you will have a dean sitting in that office in January downstairs, okay? And we do need a dean to take care of little problems. Mr. Bourne, Dr. Bourne is filling in this semester. Anyhow, Mr. Imel did his presentation on the accrual basis of accounting and adjusting entries. That's a horrible to teach to faculty who don't know a thing about accounting, but he made it pretty clear. All right. Anyhow, and he got down and he went over one example, I guess, of depreciation as an adjusted entry for the accrual basis of accounting. Okay, now we are going to have 3 chapters on the final exam, whether we cover them or not. Okay, we're going to have 3 chapters. All right, now the last chapter we covered was a chapter on standard costing. I think that was chapter 10, correct? And we went over a lot of material variances, overhead variances, and labor variances, okay? Did I give you any kind of a problem assigned on that chapter to do over the holidays, or any kind of bonus on that chapter? Do what? 10, 15?
The foundational 15.
Oh, the foundational problem. All right, on chapter 10, does anybody have that foundational problem? If you do, I'll take it up as a bonus. All right. You have it?
I emailed it.
You emailed it, okay. You have it, right?
Yes.
I need to get some paper, thank you, somebody. So she usually comes and sit here
Sometimes.
Anybody else? Okay, so 2 people did that. Okay, we've got to leave chapter standard costing. And we're moving to, all right, what other 2 chapters did I tell you? I know I told you on cash flow, and we started cash flow. Now, did I give you any kind of assignment on cash flow? No kind of assignment, okay. All right, as a bonus on cash flow. Do problem 7-7, bring it in Thursday. Problem 14-7, sorry, 14-7, page 713. All right, we will not try to go over the direct method. The appendix is, of course, the direct method. The indirect method is mostly used. Now, on cash flow, what are the 3 sources that we get cash from? What were those three categories? Monique, what is one of them? Operating. Another one. Investing and financing. And we get cash from those three sources, but we also put cash into those three sources. Under operating, we may get net income is definitely a source. Depreciation we add back as a source. But we also have expenses for inventory, so on. All right. And investing, we buy a building or we can sell a building. We buy equipment or we can sell equipment. And then in financing, we can sell stock or we can retire stock or we can buy back treasury stock. All right. Now, how did I tell you to treat a net gain under operating? How do you treat a net gain under operating? Add it or subtract it? You subtract it, don't you, George? Because it's already been added in to the financing part and into net income part. Been added twice, so we take it out one. So a net loss will do what under operating? If we subtract the gain, what will we do with the loss? With X. All right. Now, what do we do with dividend? Dividends we paid out. Where's it go on the cash flow statement? Under financing. But interest we paid out on bonds or long-term notes goes under operating. So keep those things in mind about dividends and interest and gains and losses. You'll be okay on cash flow statement. In that meeting up there, it had our vice president and it had our former acting dean, Dr. Lambert, acting vice president, and the committee. And Mr. Ivel went over that depreciation. He mentioned also land depreciates. I told him I just had a comment. I just said it for the fun of it. And I said, now, Mr. Ivel, I tell my students that sure, equipment depreciates. It's like us men, we depreciate. But land appreciates, it goes up in value. That's like the women, they appreciate. The women, the men depreciate. Tanner don't agree with that. He thinks he appreciates too. All right. So anyway, we'll deal with cash flow if we have time on Thursday. But today we're going to deal with the last chapter that's going to be on the exam. Now the exam's going to be, I think it's 50 multiple choice. No problems, but you will need your calculator. But it's going to be something fast for me to grade this time. Now Thursday, we will get your extra points in line. We will give you points for attendance on Thursday. Not too many of them. That's 10 points. All right, you'll get 5 points if you're pre-registered. Anybody here not pre-registered yet? And some people show me their registration form. You don't have to do that. I'll leave you for 5 points. Okay? If you're desperate enough to lie for 5 points on one grade, you're probably failing anyway. But anyhow, and I'll get any other bonuses for that foundation problem. So, and any bonus I gave to hand in Thursday. So you can pick up 20 to 25 points on that exam through these bonuses and attendance and pre-registration. Good. All right. Now, this chapter we're covering now on ratios. Okay, there's one page in the book I want you to turn to, page 743. most of those ratios will be on your exam. Means we need to practice, don't it? All right, you can copy this page and bring it with you. Now, please do not make an extra copy for anybody. I think that's okay, it's a good thing, but let's let everybody be responsible for their own copy. So if you forget it, then forget it. Bring a copy, that'll help you with a lot of problems on the exam. And you can bring a page of notes on these 3 chapters, since we're trying to cover them pretty fast here at the end. A page is any decent, normal page on front only. You have it on both sides, forget it. You'll tuck it away somewhere. All right, so that's going to be your help on the exam, a page of notes and some ratios. Okay. We'll try to go back to the chapter on cash flow Thursday somewhat. But today, let's look at page 727 in your textbook. Now, I got these somewhere on PowerPoint. I don't know if I even want to use PowerPoint. I'll probably have to go into Moodle, but give me a second. I'll see what PowerPoint might have. Kayla, did your Anna one go shopping on Black Friday?
I online shop Black Friday.
Well, did you online shop on Cyber Monday? Now, you guys go out shopping on Black Friday? It's hectic out there, so. Okay, now this chapter is what? Chapter 15. I don't even know if I have a PowerPoint on it or not. I'm just going to take a second and look. Chapter 10. Okay. Well, looks like it's here if it will boot up. Okay, on this chapter, on page 7, of course, 27, you've got comparative data. And they're called common size form, common size statements. Now, what we're comparing on are percentages, dollar and percentages. Sometimes you can see things in percentages. Horizontal means changes between years, across. Vertical means down, change between data. All right. If we have this year and last year, go ahead and fill in an amount right here, a mark, and give me a percent. And Kayla, accounts receivable and a percent. Monique, inventory and a percent. Prepaid expenses, Georgie. And how about total assets, Tanner? And Bayard, land, there's no change, so do building and equipment. And then, of course, property, plant, and equipment, how about that one, Anna? Give me an amount change and give me a percent of increase or decrease. Everybody have something. All right. Mark, here's what you should have gotten on cash. It decreased 48.9%. All right. How did he do that? He took 23 minus 12 and got 11.5. You divide that by the base year. Base year is the first year, which was last year, 23. Now, the rest of you check your answer. Kayla, yours check. Monique, Georgia, Tanner, Banger, Anna. Okay. All right, so that's all you do to do a common size statement, horizontal analysis. Same thing on this one, but now a trend analysis on vertical, and we can compare years if we want to. The base year would be 2007. The first year is 2007. We can do that horizontal also. Looks like gross margin went up 8% in 1 year, which is good because sales only went up 5%. You can see a lot of things in percentages sometimes that you cannot see in dollars. Gross margin has went up 35% in 4 years. Sales went up 45%. The expenses went up, cost of goods sold went up 50%. So you can see a lot of things in common size statements. But I'm not going to take all the time that they are to show you the same thing we're going to do. All right. So, Mark, fill in cost of goods sold. It's a percent. You divide sales into it. Do this year, Mark. Kayla, do gross margin this year. Monique, operating expenses. Tanner, net income. Georgia, interest. Bayard, net income before taxes. And Anna, go ahead and do net income. To do a vertical analysis, each one of you are taking the number and dividing it by what? What number is 100%? Sales. Everything else is percent of it. So, have you done that? Mark, you got yours?
14.2.
All you're doing, Mark, is taking 360,000 divided by 520
Oh, well, probably.
this year.
.69?
Well, let's see. Here's your percents. If you didn't get them, recalculate. All you are doing is dividing the number I gave you by 520. That's a vertical analysis. We see net income went down, but looking at it in percent, we went down a whole 1.3%. Cost of goods sold went up about 4%. Gross margin went down about 4%. Good news, let's see. No, I'm looking at reverse. Yeah. Operating expenses went down. Operating income went down. Interest expense went down. Taxes went down. I mean, income went down. Taxes, of course, has to go down. So the whole thing down here. So did you get your percent now, Caitlin? Anna? Everybody get your percent? Okay. That's a vertical analysis. Now everybody are experts. Balance sheet, you can change both years into percent, or you can take a comparative this year from last year. You can do a vertical or horizontal analysis on a balance sheet. All right, now we're going to start talking about ratios. And this chapter has a lot of ratios. The first one is EPS. And this thing will not let me write on it. Most of them will. EPS is net income minus preferred dividends over the average number of common shares outstanding, which is usually given to you, or you can take the beginning of the year plus the end of the year and divide by 2.
Press the enable editing in the yellow thing.
Okay, now,
No, up there. Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's see if that works, Georgia. Sure did. Thanks. Okay, EPS, earnings per share. And this is just income minus PD over average common stock shares. EPS is what a lot of investors look at. Because the stock market now is going up and down. It's went down about 10% in the last couple of weeks. And it came up pretty good yesterday. Dividend payout ratio is dividends per share divided by payout ratio divided by, let me back up, divided by EPS. Dividends per share divided by EPS. What you're doing, you're paying out 82% of your earnings per share out in dividends per share. You're paying out 82.6%. Dividend yield ratio, usually we're in the last of these things, it's your dividends per share divided by your market price. This has to be given to you. All right, if you got $2 of dividends and you paid $20 for a share of stock, then you earned 10%, didn't you? So in the stock market, you earn two ways. Here, you've got 10% earnings on your investment. That's dividend yield ratio. It's almost like a return on assets. Now, this is one way you earn money in the stock market. Another way is for your stock prices to go up, right? I keep checking my Disney stock because I've had some other stocks not doing so well. I've told you in the past I paid $19 for it. The other day I looked at it, it's $113 a share. Plus I get dividends every year. So that was a good investment in the Disney stock. Okay. That's going to soon be 6 times. Okay. All right. Return on common stockholders' equity, net income minus preferred dividends over average stock is a return on common stockholders' equity. Now, leverage ratios, these are families of ratios. Liquidity, leverage. This is just book value per share. Common stockholders' equity divided by the number of shares outstanding. A lot of investors look at not only price earnings ratio, but book value per share. Now, short-term creditors, ratios that would be important would be working capital. Now, you know that working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. Now, I've told you the story about WC. That could mean water closet, that could mean wayside chapel, or that could be working capital, okay? And here it's working capital. This company has current assets and current liabilities. Working capital is what they can pay their short-term debts with, pay their accounts payable with. All right, the current ratio is your second ratio. These are liquidity ratios. That's current assets over current liabilities. All right. Are we all on page 727? I want you to look at this year. All right. I want you to calculate me the working capital for this year and then the current ratio for this year. Take a minute and do that. 2 answers. You learn by doing, not by listening. Working capital, you should have taken 15,500 minus 7,000. What's your answer?
8,500.
8,500. All right, taking those two same figures, current assets, 15,500, divided by 7,000 gives you what? 2.what?
21.
All right, a good current ratio should be 2 or more. A good one. Now, the acid test ratio, sometimes called the quick ratio, takes quick assets over current liabilities. Here are your quick assets. That leaves out what on page 727? What does that leave out?
Inventory.
And also prepaid expenses. Some books leave out prepaid expenses on quick assets, some do not. That can go either way. And this should always be above 1. Accounts receivable turnover. All right, take this number and divide it into 365. All right. This is sales on account, which is accounts receivable. Wait a minute, sales on account. That's total sales on account. Not all accounts receivable, total sales on account. You may have already collected a lot of those, so I can't do that. Your accounts receivable is beginning plus ending divided by 2. What they're doing here. Okay, when you divided 26.7, do you want this to be big or do you want it to be little? Big or little? Little. All right. Let's see how your next answer did. What answer did you all come up with? Did you get somewhere near that when you divided? Well, all I did was take the accounts receivable turnover and have you divide it into 365. And they're showing you the same thing. Most books don't. They show you a longer way around. But you should have got this answer. So let's back up. What if your accounts receivable turned over 40 times? Divide that into 365. What'd you get?
9.12.
Now, would you rather to collect your money in 14 days or in 9 days? 9 days? So what's better, 26.7 or 40? Bigger the better, okay? Now, inventory turnover is your cost of goods sold, take beginning plus ending inventory divided by 2. Now here, the inventory turnover is 12.73. Divide that into 365. What do you get?
28.7.
All right. 28.7 rounded.
Yeah, that's right.
That's your average sale period. Well, do you want that to be bigger or smaller? You want that to be smaller or a bit larger? Well, you want your inventory to turn over fast as possible. Hey, if you turn it over 365 times, what would your answer be here? 1. So smaller is better here. Sell it as quick as you can. And bigger is better on inventory turnover. Now let's take Bill. They turn theirs over 2 times a year. That's ever 160 some days. Now, Black Friday and Black Thursday and Cyber Monday. Was there any mishaps this year? I think somebody got shot in Alabama Mall, shot 2 people. Then the police shot the wrong person. They shot an innocent man. I've heard of different fights breaking out in different Walmarts, so forth. It's not worth getting out and fighting for, is it, Mark?
Yeah. Order it online.
Yeah. That has helped. Online, Amazon has put Magic Mart out of business and Kmart's out of business and so on. All right, now times interest earned, students find that to be one of the, but now first off, I didn't carry through with what we started here. I want you to calculate the ratio on page 727 this year. Calculate the accounts receivable turnover. You've got average what answers somebody have? Georgia, you got an answer yet? Anybody? Well, what you're going to have to do, you don't have sales, do you? Well, we have to assume that all sales on account. So turn over to page 728. And sales is 52,000. Okay? Sales is 52,000. Now can you calculate? What have you got?
8.67.
867? Now divide that into 365.
42.
42?
41. 0.1. 42.1.
Oh, okay. So they're keeping, their average collection period is every 42 days. That's fine if you got 210 net 60 or 210 net 45. But if you got 210 net 30, you got some bad creditors out there, don't you?
Question. Isn't the accounting calendar 360 days instead of 365?
It's what now?
Accounting calendar, isn't it 360 days instead of 365?
Giorgio, I've taught accounting for a lot of years and I never heard of an accounting calendar.
Like accountants using.
The
Even
right.
when you calculate the interest.
interest, we use 360 days. We
Yeah.
call that a banker's year.
Okay, bankers.
All right.
Yeah.
A banker's year. But accountants like to be precise. And anytime we calculate anything, even if it's interest, we want it to be precise and we'll use 365 days. Okay. All right. You have done the average collection period. Now I want you to do the same thing for inventory turnover. You may have to turn a page to look at the income statement. Gonna answer yet?
81.1.
What?
81.1.
Anybody else get 81.1? Banyard, 81.1? All right, Georgia, give me some numbers here. What numbers are you using?
36,000 divided by 8,000.
Give me two numbers here. What was your inventory beginning and ending?
It's just ending, I guess, 8,000.
What's beginning?
It's not provided.
Huh?
It's not provided the ending inventory or beginning
It sure is.
or 10,000.
If I give you this year, it's got last year.
Yeah.
10,000.
What?
10,000.
You got 8 and 10? What's the average of 8 plus 10? What?
No.
Okay, so now what is 9 into 36,000?
4.
So we're only turning our inventory over 4 times a year, once a season. Now divide that into 365. Every 90 what?
91.
A quarter of a year. We have to hold our inventory for 91 days. And then if we don't collect for it for 35 more days, our money is tied up 126 days. So you see why it's important? Here you're holding your inventory. But now I'm sure they were short on a lot of inventory on Black Friday. Okay. I have a couple of grandkids wanting AirPods for Christmas. And Apple and about everywhere else sells them for $159. Costco's had them on sale for a couple of days for $139, but they were sold out time you get on there. So nobody had them on Black Friday. So I'm stuck with paying $100. And Apple they give a 10% teacher's discount, but that's one thing they wouldn't give a 10% discount on an AirPod. Does anybody here have a set of AirPods? I hope they're worth it. That's what a couple of my grandkids want. Okay. I guess it's just a wireless headset for your cell phone. Now we're over to this one. You take your earnings I like to call it EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes. That means you got to subtract out interest and taxes. EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes over interest. So look at the next page and see if you can do that for this year on page 728. All right, what numbers are you using? Kayla, what numbers are you using?
3,140.
No, find earnings before interest and taxes. Do you see what I see? Georgia, what do you see? Earnings before interest and taxes.
3,140.
Georgia sees what I see. 3,140. It's usually net operating income. Now you can go down to total income and subtract those out and get the same thing. Now divide that by interest. What do you see the interest there? Okay, what's your answer? What's your answer?
4.9. 4.9.
4.9, almost 5 times. Well, this company did a lot better. They had 11.5 times. 4.9 is almost 5 times. Earnings to pay your interest. All right, then on and on, there'll be examples in the book. Debt to equity is total debt over total equity. And we have comparative ratios analysis for industry. We use a lot of sources. Almanac, Business Almanac. This is one I'm always familiar with, Standard & Poor's. That's it, folks. A quick review of ratios. A little quick practice for some of you. I'm about to shut this down before stopping record, and it won't stop. Hold on a minute, and I'll give you some assignments.